promises of God to Abraham. So we're going to read from Genesis 12, and we're going to read the first 8 verses. Genesis 12:1. Now the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you I will curse. And by you all the families of the earth shall bless themselves." So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions which they had gathered, and the persons that they had gotten in Haran, and they set forth to go to the land of Canaan. When they had come to the land of Canaan, Abram passed through the land to the place at Shechem, to the oak of Moreh. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. So again, we're going to hear from our brother Oliver, and he's speaking on the promises of God to Abram. Oliver?
Morning, everyone. Very good. Actually, I'm very happy again to be standing here, to be having this good chance and good luck, to be reminding again. Every day I like to sing that I'm here to reminding. Some of others, they used to say, I'm here to teach. I'm here to preach, but I don't know. Me, I like that word of reminding, because according to my level, I don't know if I'm or if I could be a teacher, but let me be a reminder. And today, I could like to reminding my brothers and sisters about promises. And when I was thinking about promises, immediately I was opening my book, and I was found this good story of Abraham. And I was so appreciative about this message to Abraham. Why? Because he was a good man, good example. Actually, at the past, they were speaking about Abraham, but if we can turn it back, it's coming back to us. And when people, they are talking about promises, don't just think about promises from God to you. Yes, you can do that. God to me, what about me to his people? And that is why I was saying that better to reminding God's people about promises. Because some of people, they used to think only about, yeah, God told me that you're going to bless me this year, so I'm waiting for. Or I was praying and I hope that I'm going to be blessed, so I'm waiting for his blessing to me. And when God doesn't answer you on your right time, immediately you give up. You said, no, God doesn't exist. Okay. You can continue saying that, but don't forget that you are renting under him. And if he doesn't exist, so who are you renting to? Question mark. And we can hear about Abraham, how he was keeping his promise. Can you imagine somebody of 75 years without having nothing? But he was keeping his promise and say, one day is one day. And according to God, his message, his verses, really, Abraham was a good man. Because if we can see what God was saying there, God promised Abraham that he will make a great nature out of him. And I think to that age of Abraham, if it could be you, you are supposed to be surprised of 75 years, me having a child again. Oh, that is a story. Never. That is a. Let us go back to us. Let me say Oliver today with Bawili, 75 years. No, nothing. Oh. And Nathan came to me and said, Oliver, don't mind. God is with you. I'm going to check Nathan like this and say, yo. This is end of the day that they were speaking about. Now you, maybe you are crazy now. Me, Oliver, 75 years. I'm still expecting for Dive. Oh. Okay. Let me wait for maybe. And when you are doing something by saying maybe, it means you are not trusting yourself. You are not believing in him. But if you are believing in him, you can't even say maybe. But Abraham was a strong man. 75 years, God was still speaking to him according to the verses. Abraham, stand up and leave the country and your father his house. Hey. I still remember when I was leaving my country to South Africa, I was writing a letter because that time I was living in Burundi, near to Congo. I was writing the letter to my father and saying, Father, I leave this country now and going somewhere where I don't know. But I know that God will lead me and I will arrive where I'm going. But I don't know the destination. And after that, I was receiving a call and he was asking me, where are you going? To who? And I was saying, I'm just going because I'm tired with this Burundi country. So I have to go. And he was asking, where you are going? There is your grandpa there? There is your auntie there? And I was saying, don't mind about that. But I know that I will go and I will arrive. And most of people, can you imagine, according to Abraham, I don't want to live here to Washington. So what if they said, live here to, let me say, to Dubai and stay there? I know what I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to show you. There's somebody here in Chicago, maybe, I don't know. He doesn't know even Washington. So on 75 years, you tell him, move here to Washington. To do what? To who? What for? That day you must prepare yourself for maybe 100 questions. But Abraham, because he was a strong man, full of faith, full of hope, he didn't take time about that question. He was standing and tell Sarah, hey, my wife, let us move to the promises country where they are sending us. Because where we are going is God who knows where we are going and is the one who will direct us to the place. And Sarah, he didn't hesitate. Yes, my husband, let's go. They packed each and everything that was belong to them. And they said, let's go. And they moved. And when they was moving, God was still protecting them. And God, he didn't leave them. Because he's the one who told them to move and go. And he's the one who was providing them. And after that, God came back to him and said, Abraham, I'm going to bless you. And he was so surprised. Because one day when God was talking to Abraham again, God tell him, now I want to improve you. I want to prove you. Can you count all those stars? And that was a big, let me say, a big question. Let me say if somebody came to you and say, Adam, stand up and count your hair. Who can do that here? And if you can't count your hair, maybe those stars, they are more than your hair. But Abraham also was so surprised and stand up and say, now this is a beautiful question that they're asking me, to count all stars. And you know what God was preparing to open to Abraham of counting those stars. Because when he told him that I'm going to bless you, all the nation will be under you. That is why even today we're still calling him our father, our grandpa, Abraham. And when they told him about those stars, I think he didn't understand those stars for what. Me, just to count, I don't know who or where I'm going to report those stars. Okay, let me try. He started. 1, 2, 3, 10. Oh, and he come back again and say, God, they are too much. I can't make it. But God was still there. And after that, God was open himself to him and say, okay, did you see now the way they are more, the way they are too much, is the way that I'm going to bless you. You're going to have a grandchild. The grandchild or the great of children. And Abraham was saying, me, great of, come on. How? And that time when Abraham was busy talking with God, Sarah was so surprised and watching them and listening to them. And he was saying, oh my goodness. These things maybe, because him or her, she was out of what can I say? She was off of dialogue of Jesus, of God and Abraham. And her, she was watching them and keep quiet and listening. And when I was reading this book, immediately, I was coming back to, because that time they talk about Abraham. But each and every last stories, they was talking for our grandpa. But the way they were speaking to our grandpa, till today, we're still ruling, we're still moving under those stories. And this is Abraham's message to his great children as a new generation. Now, let me go back to the new generation now. When I was reading this book, I was so confused and I was so great to myself and say, promise. You can read it fast, the way you like. You can spell it the way you feel it. Promise. Yeah, promise. But it's something big to us. It's something big to us. Because if we can see and think about our life, we are living under promises of God. And we're still promising one another. Because each and every stage of your life, you are passing through promise. Let me say like the time that I was proposing my wife, that was my first promise. Yes, I do love you. Good. So what is your mission to me? That to each and every man used to come back to, what is your mission now to me? Yeah. Me? Yeah, I will marry you. You just took it easy. You spell it the way you like. You took it to the any way that you want to took it. You can put it wherever. I will marry you. But don't forget, wherever you are, God is there. Wherever you are speaking, He's listening to you. Maybe I can say even He's writing. He have a notebook. Each and every day He used to review the video of each and every one. Last year I told my wife that I will marry her. This year now I'm coming back and say, yeah, you see, according to our culture, when you want to marry, they used to ask you more cows, and actually right now I don't have anything, so I don't know what we can do about then you make a break without saying that I want to stop here to this stop sign, because your wife, she's your stop sign. Break. And you know those days I don't have those cows. Actually, no, remember when she was asking you, God was there with you, and what was coming out of your mouth? I'm going to marry you. You spell it fast. I'm going to marry you, like you are ready. And if you are ready, why didn't wait for your time? Why didn't be patient and say, yes, I do like you, but yeah, just take it easy because I'm not ready. No. What is your mission to me? I will marry you. You took it easy. Okay. End of the day, no, I don't have those things that your family will going to ask me back. So I can see, yeah, let us, when you were saying marry you, you was fast, but to say let us broke up, a big deal. So did you go to her to be telling her that you will marry her in broke up? No. You will marry her forever. And you have to keep that. And there is those other group, yes, I will marry you, and he can marry you. After being in a marriage life, back home, not here. And each and every day when I'm speaking, we are reminding one another. I'm not pointing anybody, but maybe I'm talking to those who are outside of this hall. And when we can go, maybe you can meet with somebody the same that was reminding here, or the same that was speaking here. You meet him, good. After getting married now, you did a good promise and you attend your promises. You start now, because when you get married back home, actually for engagement, we used to put something here as a ring to your chosen one. And this ring, to our culture, we do took it this ring like a ready traffic light. Do not enter. When you are driving, you see they are writing somewhere, do not enter. If you enter there, you must wait for the ticket. Wait for, don't ask a government, why me this letter? Why me to pay the government? You didn't see there that they are writing, do not enter. But after putting that promises here, end of the day, you know what they are doing? Yes. She meets now with Daniel. Okay. Hi, Chrissy. Hi. Are you okay? Yes. Actually, I was looking for you. Yes, I'm here. I'm listening to you. Hey, long time never see. Are you married? No, I'm not married. And where we used to point it immediately, if somebody she's talking to you, or you are talking to her about marriage stories, to those two fingers is where there is a traffic light. So if those two fingers, they are ready, don't pass, don't enter. But they put it a red light here, but she said, no, I don't want red light, I want green light. In the bag. No, I'm not married. And you forget when you are saying to him, for the good and for the bad, I'm there for you. But you put it in your bag, your hands bag. No, I'm not married. And right, what are you saying to Daniel when you say to him that you are not married? It means now you are welcoming him. But you forget your past and say, no, I'm not. Now, Daniel will be open to you and says everything that he wants to say to you because you are free. And he's free. But you forget that your fingers, they are full of promises. And especially as a new generation, we are fast to forget and to give up. And when you're done with Daniel, you said, okay, now I have now 2 cars to drive. I'll be driving Oliver this side and Daniel that side. So the one that will be ready, this one is it's just a ring. It's just a ring. I will take it easy. If it's Daniel who gonna be faster than Oliver, I will go. Don't forget, your God is watching you. And one day I was assisting some of my relatives back home. They got married. They was making a beautiful family. And each and everyone was appreciative about their couple. But end of the day, the wife was asking a divorce. And the husband was like so surprised and saying, oh, my wife, are you asking me a divorce today? Why? Can you remember the day of our wedding? You know what was the answer there? So what? Oh, but when he was saying, yes, I'm here for Oliver, for the good and the bad, you didn't think, you didn't mind about your future. You didn't mind about the word of God. Only the small thing, maybe to Christmas time, your husband didn't buy you a gift. You start telling him or answering him, so what? I'm ready for everything. And that was the past. That was my past. Forget about it. No. When you make any promises, you have to know that there is a book note for you there. And what you was choosing as a promise, that's what will going to be your payment end of your day. Others, they used to come and say, yes, I'm ready, my brothers, to be baptized. Okay, you are ready, yes. We can do what you're expecting us to do. Yes, I'm ready. We put you there to get baptized. Before to be getting baptized, there is some way that you used to say it as a promise that yes, now I'm ready to God. God, you can drive me wherever you want to take me. Drive me as your car. But end of the day, maybe by hunger, you just go straight, because now those days our newspaper is a Facebook. Me, I was just going to Christadelphian thinking that wherever, but my brothers and my sisters, they don't think, they don't mind me. So the way now I'm living, I can see like God doesn't. Oh, play with your brothers and sisters. Don't play with God. Everything that they was doing here is not on their own profit. is not on their own notebook. For you, God was writing for you. You said yes, you are ready for God. You didn't say that you are ready for Oliver. So why? Maybe if today I didn't do what you was expecting to me, or what you was expecting from me, you said that God doesn't exist. Think. And if you want to be strong, because here, verse 1 to 8, they want to show us the stories of Abraham. How Abraham was a strong man. From 1 year to 75 years without having anything. You know, each and everyone used to get married with something in him and say, yes, now I'm suffering of cooking. Let me get married and have a helper who will be helping me to cook. Nathan, I'm not talking about you, no. Because soon you are going to join me in, yes, no, just for a really life. Now she will be helping me to cook. And at the end of the day, now she came to you and tell you, hey, can you help me also? No. That is cooking. Can you escorting me to laundry? No. And end of the day, now you come back to her and say, hey, now the house is quiet. Every day coming from work, nobody who's calling me, Papa. This life, I don't know what I was doing to God. No. Remember, you are not there to push him. He used to answer all on his own time. They don't push him. And Abraham, according to the stories, he didn't push. He was accepting everything. And he was ready for everything. Because 75 years waiting for. Full of hope. Full of faith in him. And one day, God was seeing that, yes, this is my guy. Let me go back to him. And show him that I'm a really God that he was praying each and every day. The way he was faithfully to me, I have to go back to him. And from that day, God came back to him and he told him, go, stand up and go. Where he was going, he was busy talking with him. And God was showing him really that is a really God. And he was opening his miracle to him the way he was promising him. And because Abraham, he didn't give up, one day he was blessed with that boy, we call it, who again? Isaac. And from Isaac till today, who is the youngest boy here? I think he's at the back, Dive. From Isaac till to Dive. Who can stand here and counting all those children? Straightly, Abraham was, his mind was opening now to those stars. What God was telling him to count, because nobody who can do that. From Isaac to Dive, nobody who can count that. Even when they can tell you only around here at Lambert, count each and everybody here. Maybe after 20 years or 100 years. But God was coming back to him and he was realized his promises to Abraham. And Abraham, because he was faithfully, he was keeping everything that was talking with God, everything that was promising God. End of the day, Abraham was busy laughing. And when the time that Abraham was talking with God, Sarah was laughing to them because he was listening. She was listening, excuse me. And after that, after listening, she was laughing to them and say, oh. these stories, I don't believe that. And after 1 year, pregnant, Isaac came out. And after Isaac came out, Sarah was happy and Abraham was happy. And they was happy because they was faithfully to God. Because double mind was not in them. And each and everyone that is here, I would like to reminding to one another that when you make a promise, you have to know how to keep a promise. I will give you a job. I will give you something. I will take you to World Relief because I'm a newcomer, I don't know anyway. Please keep that promises till to the end of the day. Don't have double mind in you. Let us be like Abraham, because we are the image of God. And wherever we can do, let us be strong, like the man of God, like our grandpa Abraham. And down here, they said that if you still have double mind in you, you look like you are not the one of Abraham, his family, Abraham nation. But if you don't have a double mind in you, you are the one of Abraham, his family. And one day you will going to enjoy what you did and what you keep as a promise in our own life. But in the Bible, is this what I was choosing that I could share with you today? I didn't mention that in the Bible where they was talking about promises is only in Genesis 12 verse 1 to 8 about Abraham, no, Moses, Noah, wherever. God was being busy with them according to his promises. But here I was choosing these small verses to be reminding one another, let us be strong, let us keep our promise, to be showing God that we are there for him. Wherever it can come to us as our problems, take it easy and focus to what you were saying to God. Because we are here as the children of God. That is my message for today. Thank you.
I have something up here that you better get back, Oliver. Yoink.
I have to keep it.
No, don't forget that.
Yes, always.
Thank you, Oliver. Let's sing another song together in praise to our God before the memorial service. We're going to sing hymn 232. Jesus, thou joy of loving hearts, thou fount of life, thou light of men. Hymn 232. what a blessing it is to be here. And what a blessing it is to have brothers and sisters here to help us. And now we have brothers and sisters that have experienced some of the things in the life of Abraham. I've been recently going over the life of Abraham again, and it's an amazing life, and we are supposed to attach ourselves to his life. And you could see from Oliver's talk that he has, in some ways, experienced the things that Abraham did. And God has made promises to not only Oliver, but to all of us. And I thought it was really good that Oliver pointed out that we have promises as well, that we have made to each other and to God. And as Oliver said, we are holding these in our hand, sometimes as a symbol that is on our finger. And there's many other promises that we have made. And it's good to think, are we keeping our promises? We always like to look to God and said, where is the promise that you promised me? You know, where is the life that I thought I should be leading? But we know God keeps his promises. Sometimes even after we die, as in the case of Abraham, God will still keep his promise to Abraham. So that's a very good message. And the part about the stars is very important to us. This is from Psalm 147. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. He determines the number of the stars. He gives to all of them their names. Great is our Lord and abundant in power. His understanding is beyond measure. That's a great thing when Oliver was saying, go ahead and try to count the stars. Here it says, God has determined the number of stars, and he gives them all a name. He calls them by name. I think that's good for us to know that not only is Abraham's seed as the stars of heaven, but it's not just some impersonal thing that God just knows there's a lot of them. He knows them all by name. Which is an amazing thing in itself. I mean, to physically count the stars, as Oliver talked about, is very difficult. But to give them all a name, so if you were to do that, maybe you would remember a few names of the most prominent stars, but to know every one by name, but that is our God that we live under and who we gladly serve. So he knows us by name, and this is proof when we come here, proof of how much he cares for us, that he would give his only son for us. And then to link it all together, which, you know, we are very familiar with this, I think most of us, from Galatians. But just think about it this morning. Think about it again. Think about what Abraham did and how he pleased God. And think about it in what you can do to please God. But now that faith has come, we are no longer under a custodian. For in Christ Jesus you are all sons of God through faith. For as many of you as were baptized into Christ have put on Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. And if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to promise. Great promises for us. Let's remember those promises, the great things God has done for us to bring us where we are now. And if we can just look to the future a little bit, we will see even greater things happen that God has promised us. So let's remember these things. We have been reminded this morning by our brother Oliver, and now we are going to remember even more things, even deeper things, when we remember our Master and Savior Jesus now. So let's give thanks now for the bread and the wine, and first we'll ask our brother Mike Stoll to offer a prayer for the bread.
Our God, we have heard about your promise to Abraham, and we know that there are several promises that you have made, from Noah to Abraham to Isaac to Jacob to David to your son Jesus, we are here to remember today. The promises and everything that they mean, your covenant to each and every one of us. We know how true it is, how we can believe in it, how we can have faith in it, how we can be fully assured in your promises and in your covenants. We thank you so much for these. We see how they were made and partially fulfilled in the past, and we look forward to the future fulfillment as well. And while we wait, we continue to have this bread, symbolic of your Son's body. And as we have it, we pray that we will be strengthened by this, strengthened in your service. We thank you for this through your Son Jesus. Amen.
Jesus took the bread and said, "This is my body."